This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Oh, greetings, Bucketheads. Mevar Tagar. Welcome to our 267th, astoundingly ascertaining the Acolyte episode of Mandovision. I'm your host, Narguy Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad you're here. Be sure to reach out to us on the socials. We're at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, friends, we are here to kind of do a after-action report, if you will, on the Acolyte. And as you probably can tell from my more boisterous nature, I am recording with the sun out. So I can be loud because there's nobody but the dogs home. So that means I'm a little fired up. We're going to have a conversation with our good friend Regan from the Come On, It's Still Good podcast. He's going to come and hang out with us. And listen, friends, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, he's going to attack the show. He is going to attack the Acolyte, probably in a fashion similar to some of the vitriol we've seen on the internet. We'll see. I don't, he's only told me a little bit about his general state of mind on the show. We'll let him get into the particulars of what he did and did not like about the Acolyte. As you know from this podcast, I have one request. If you do or do not like something, show your work. Tell me why. And it can't just be, they didn't make Star Wars the way I like it. That's not an acceptable answer. All right, friends. So I think we're going to go ahead, dive into it. One more episode dedicated to the Acolyte. Before we kind of resume our normal operating procedures, and take this podcast through the dog days of summer. All right, Bucketheads, you know what that means. It's time. Strap on your buckets and let's go.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
All right, joining us now via the power of the Skype. Our good friend Regan from the Come On, It's Still Good podcast is hanging out today. He wants to share his thoughts, his feelings on the Acolyte. And trust me, they are definitely the feelings that lead to the dark side. At least I'm fairly confident in saying that. Regan, how are you doing? What's going on in the world of Come On, It's Still Good? Talk to the people.
Greetings, programs. Yeah, if you didn't watch this show, didn't relate to the Sith Lord, or maybe Sith Lord, kind of Sith.
Sith adjacent?
Yeah, like he's definitely Sith curious.
Okay, fair enough.
So, best part about the show is him. I'll start with things I liked.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Him, actually, politicians. When the politicians came in at the very end of the season and were like, I don't like what Jedis are doing, for once in my life, I don't know if it's because I've aged up, where I was like, yeah, let's get a little politics in this. I never thought I'd be that person. But I thought they could do an interesting, these Jedi have lost the way type of story that I don't feel we really got in this.
Yeah, that was something I speculated on pretty early in the season. I was like, oh, what if it's like this rogue faction of Jedi within the Order? They're just traveling around and killing all these other non-Force users, which I thought was a pretty interesting story, but not Star Wars-y, I guess.
If it was more, they didn't like the witches because they were not practicing the Force the way that they deem appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a much better, yes, darker story. But that's why Yoda's there at the end. He could put the Jedi on the right path again.
Yeah, and it is something that they in the High Republic era we've seen in the comics in particular. Like there's a lot of like Force user groups out there in the galaxy at this point in time. So the idea that like we sort of discussed already is of these Jedi going rogue and be like,
Right.
nah, they're then yeah. I like that idea. And then you
I
bring
like
in then you bring in the politicians, and everyone signs the Sokovia Accords, and then you have Jedi Civil War.
Well, I think the reason we don't know about a lot of the other Force sects out there is because they're wiped out by the Jedi, and it could be their own Jedi crusade where they've wiped out the Sith, or so they think.
Mm-hmm.
They could just keep moving in that way, which I think would help shape this season, because it's hard to root for the Sith in this because we've been raised that Sith equals bad, so he's the bad guy. But Osha and May are both at points in this under his not spell but tutelage.
Sure, yeah, tutelage.
So we're rooting for it's a payback. It's get ready to root for the bad guy. But then the Jedi aren't really that bad. I mean, yes, Saul does get creepy and sees a kid and is like, I'm immediately going to take that kid.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's when he started to do that, I thought, oh, maybe Saul's been doing a long con this whole game, and he's actually on the dark side.
Again, that could have been interesting too.
Yeah, right before he gets choked, I was like, 30% of me was like, oh, do an evil smile right now and get up and be monologue. It's going to be epic. It's going to blow me away. I was like, nope, Force choked to death. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, it's again. I thought the show was fine. I didn't feel too strongly one way or the other about it. I was very middle of the road on it. There were a lot of things I liked about it, and some things I didn't like. I found the story with May and Osha to be actually not that compelling to me. I found it fairly boring in
unfortunately
many regards. And one of the things I was talking recently with some coworkers about was sort of maybe the idea that if they had, instead of having the same actress playing both parts, maybe having another actress to play off of actually would have gone a long way to making that storyline a little bit more interesting, because the acting would have been a little bit more, I think when you're able to bounce off another person instead of like your stunt double or your body double, would have maybe brought those scenes a little bit more to life. Not that that actress did a poor job or anything. I thought
no, she did
perfectly fine.
Yeah, I don't think what she's given
the material
is a lot. Yeah. For me, it's not why I was at. Probably around episode 4, I really just was like, oh, that story doesn't matter.
You're right.
Because we had met, right? No, episode 4 is when we meet the stranger. So maybe episode 5.
Yeah, when everyone dies.
Well, no, everyone dies in 4, right?
I thought it was 5. Maybe I'm misremembering though.
Because 3 is the long flashback episode.
Oh, maybe it is 4. Yeah, it might be 4. Yeah.
And I think 3 ends where they're outside.
Yeah.
The cottage, the Wookiee cottage, the
Oh.
Mad Claw. What they call it in Knights of the Old Republic when you branched your claws?
Yeah,
Mad Claw, right?
Mad Claw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to the wrong app. I went in to double check the episodes, and I pulled open the beer app. Oopsie.
Yep.
I pulled out.
You'll find it. You'll find whatever ails you right there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was 8 episodes. I knew that much. Yeah, episode 5 was night. That was when everyone dies.
Yeah, that's a fantastic Star Wars episode.
Mm-hmm. It is the highest rated of the series.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Honestly, I was after episode 3, I was at a low point because I hated the flashback episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was particularly interesting. I would have preferred if it was like a flashback through different people's eyes. Like Osha sees it one way, May seeing the same flashback another way, and then Saul seeing a third version. So it would be more bits and pieces, and maybe tell it. But once again, I don't find the child kidnapping, which is what the Jedi do.
Are you firmly on board with the idea that the Jedi are children kidnappers? That's just who they are.
It's kind of their business.
It's kind of their brand, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they don't let them bang, so they need to replenish the troops somehow to fight in their holy wars.
There, like I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff in the show, and the idea of, as that politician points out, Martian Manhunter himself from Supergirl.
I got excited to see it again. I got excited.
I mean, he basically calls the Jedi out for being just like the most popular of all the Force cults that are out there, and I was like, man,
Right.
that's pretty good actually. I like that.
Yeah,
So-
more of that. That was interesting.
Yeah, exploring the Jedi in that fashion, I had zero problem with. I actually really enjoyed that element. I just feel like they didn't follow through with it to my personal satisfaction. And I don't know if we ever really get to go down some of those darker roads with the Jedi. I don't, even if the show does a second season, which I do hope it gets, because I'd like to see more of the story with Plagueis and the Stranger and kind of how all these things shake out. But I don't know if it'll ever kind of really examine the Jedi in that fashion, whole cloth. Like you'll get little bits and pieces of it in something, but it might come down to, as it usually does. We have to get a book to really get that exploration that we want.
It's deep end,
Yeah,
a deep dive.
For that deep
I mean,
dive,
it
right.
might become its own comic books thing.
And
But you
again,
can
I'm
get
okay with that
Plagueis
'cause I
like
read
looking
it.
around trees, and in the back of every pane of the comic, he's looking around a different tree.
And again, like I dig that stuff. I read the comics, I read the books. I'm here for it. But then I have to have that conversation with a coworker. It's like, well, if you read the book, you would have known da 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 da. And then they're just looking at me and they glaze over.
Over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna be quiet now.
I might go. What is it? The Palpatine book that has Plagueis in it.
Yeah, do it.
I might go get the audiobook and try and get through it.
Well, Star Wars audiobooks are excellent, so I do recommend them.
They're the best. They're the best. But I'm having problems gripping onto this era in the audiobooks. It's hard for me to let myself give myself over to the Force. I keep fighting it.
The thing with the High Republic publishing initiative with the comics and the books and of the 3 different age levels that they're aiming for is like, if you're just reading the adult novels, it's you're getting a full picture, but you're only kind of getting like a partial, like
broad strokes.
Yeah, it's you're each of the books in the comics like kind of focus on different characters and different adventures and different elements that kind of combine into the whole. So it's sort of a challenging, in my opinion, it's a challenging ask for readers, in my opinion. Because again,
so to get the whole picture, you have to read the books, the young adult novels, and the adult or more older novels.
I mean, if you want the whole picture, like you can stick with the adult stuff and get the gist of what went on in the other things, like they'll make mention of. But if you want to see how those things occurred, or in like which Jedi took place or took part in them, then you kind of got to go that route. And it's kind of a crazy initiative. I like it a lot, but that's because I'm already invested in the comics and the books to begin with. I did skip the lowest level kids books. I was like, nah, it's like I can't do it. Time's too precious.
Didn't you used to read like the tales of the Solo twins or whatever they were?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was also half my age currently when I was reading this. So
I'm not saying like at our ages now. You're like, let me get those Solo twin books.
Yeah, like I do have. I might be saying too much, but yeah, I do think it's weird when grown ass adults are reading YA fiction. So
this I'll give a pass on. Like if they want to be completionist, which is very in,
of course,
right now. So if you want to,
and especially honestly, for Star Wars fans,
whatever you want to read, have fun.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it is. It's again the idea that I'm picking up like these little kid books for like ages 6 and up, and I'm just like, I'll just read the wiki on this one.
I'll just go to Wikipedia. They'll let me know.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I'm taking some shots, but I read a lot of Star Trek books. Those are not any better.
And also a big Mech Warrior guy. If people want to know, Regan loves the Mech Warriors.
I did love reading some Mech Warriors. I tried to read a couple not that long ago, and let's just say I've changed. They're probably the same. I've changed. And I did not enjoy it.
But like you were saying, like we were just talking about with the High Republic era. I mean, I mentioned before that it's specifically in Phase 2 that we kind of go back from when the High Republic era starts in the books. We go back like another 100-something years, and that's when we see all these other like Force groups. And then when we get back to the main story in Phase 3, which is the one that was in Phase 1, um, most of these force groups aren't really around anymore, and you're like, what happened in the intervening years? And it's one of those things that I'm interested in, but I don't think it's been answered in the High Republic.
That sounds cool.
Era
Like
yet.
I want to see an all-out, a bunch of different force groups fighting each other. Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially if what they do with Jeddah, I think is very interesting. Is Jeddah's kind of like this hub for all the Force users to come to, and kind of like explore the Force and tolerate each other's existences.
Do they get like force tired and just die like the witches did?
Force tired.
They got force sleepy.
Yeah, but you
And
get.
then-
Yeah, I've seen you get Force sleepy too, though.
Oh, I got force sleepy like 2 days ago. It was over. That happens.
Yeah, again, certain elements of this show I found to be very enjoyable, very compelling, but they were the elements they didn't really seem to want to focus on as much.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they don't want to make the Jedi as evil as they had. Like to get rid of the witches without them just. I assume falling asleep and then burning to death in the fire.
Well, I mean, I'd have to.
Or were they dead
check.
before?
I'd have to double check, but I think the implication was that they died when Indira broke the Force hold on Kelnaka, I believe, right?
Right.
There's like
So
some kind of force
I don't
feedback
know.
killed him, fried their brain, something like that.
So I didn't know if that just knocked him unconscious.
I mean, that would have been my thought, but they seem kind of like not moving. And I can go online and kind of confirm that or not. But I think that was sort of the belief that there was like some kind of, Indira caused like a kind of like a feedback loop that just burned them all out.
Because when they first introduced or you see the stranger with the helmet on, and he still had his cloak, you couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. I was like, oh, maybe it's his one mother who didn't actually die, and she's been. I was like, that'd be cool. That'd be different. She's not really a Sith.
And that's something of a mystery still. If that character is still around, did she actually end up surviving that night on Brendok? Is she still somewhere out in the galaxy? Is she somehow connected to the stranger and Pelagius in some way? Who's to know? We never. That's like one thing they definitely did not answer or address for the show.
Yeah,
they teased enough out for there to be a season 2 very easily.
Yeah, they definitely did. It just depends how much you enjoyed and how much you're willing to come back.
Right. I mean, it's a Star Wars show. It's on once a week. It's not a big ask. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Fine.
I talk a good game. I'm going to watch season 2 or season 8, whatever they get to. I'm going to be there for it.
Yeah.
And I did not. I like the spoilers. I did not really enjoy this season, but I'll be back for.
Well,
season 2.
I think one of my main complaints throughout the run of the show was like I had issues with its pacing. I didn't like the flashback episodes. I didn't like there being full blown flashback episodes that just kind of completely derailed the momentum of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they Disney did that thing where they put the first 2 episodes out, but I honestly thought they should have just might as well put out the first 3 because everything comes to a halt when the next week when you get to episode 3 and you're in a flashback and you're like, well, wait, I just got invested in this and now you're going back in time. So I got flustered with that.
And a lot of my problems were like the Jedi, the Jedi Masters, just like one committing suicide, so there's no fight there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't see Kelnok and the stranger.
Yeah, we it's like we're just missing these epic battles. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of that, and I get it. They're expensive. They're hard to put together.
I really enjoyed the combat in the show. I thought when they did the show fight scenes, they were really good. Yeah. I did really like them.
I mean, it's only like 2 episodes.
Yeah, 2, 3.
Like episode 5.
2, 3.
Yeah. The 5th, there's
one. The big fight numbers. Episode 1.
Big fight. There's
with,
2 main fights.
Yeah, you get the Matrix.
But Saul and the stranger at the end. There's one scene where like he flows out of a window, where they're like floating. I think it's supposed to be like. I don't like the way the effect looked.
Like the wire work?
I thought it looked bad.
Okay.
But that was my only complaint. I was like, oh, I hate that. I hate the way it looks.
I mean, a lot of people online did not care for the look of the show. They thought it looked like a TV show. They thought it looked, for lack of a better word, kind of fake.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me as much, and I wonder if it bothered you to the same degree it bothered me because, like, again, we grew up watching Star Trek. We're used to like things being on
Yeah.
sets, and
No, I didn't even notice that at all.
yeah,
And didn't they say the same thing about like Boba Fett and stuff? Everything was happening in like
yeah,
rooms.
everybody really enjoys attacking Star Wars shows in particular, and then implying that they're cheap because they're on Disney Plus instead of in the theater or something. And it's like, well, yeah, they're trying to make a TV
Yeah.
show. It's
Yeah.
it's
They're trying
different,
to sustain this
different
network.
finances.
If they don't put anything on this network, why are we paying X amount of dollars for it if everything's just going to movie theaters?
All right,
I
and
want the shows to tie into whatever Star Wars movie. I think that synergy would be nice.
mm-hmm.
But then they don't want to tie it in because not everybody gets Disney Plus, and that's you reward fans. You reward people who have been paying you for years.
Well, especially nowadays with the sort of economy of Hollywood changing, because people just aren't going to the movie theaters like they used to.
Oh, I'm not.
They know they can stay home and wait like 4 or 5 weeks and then stream it here. Stream it at their house.
I think I'm going to be at the movie theater 3 weeks in a row for the first time in probably
A long
8
time,
years.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Deadpool, something else, and then Aliens is coming out. I think.
Yeah, and Deadpool's the one that's getting me to go back as well, and to see something. And again, it's not. Sometimes it's not even that I don't want to see the movie in theaters. Like I definitely would consider it, but they're gone so fast from the theaters. I'm like, oh, that's already streaming. I was gonna go see that. Oh, all right. I guess I'll stay home now.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Like I watched the latest King Kong movie because it just
Oh yeah.
yeah it came out on HBO and it was great.
Interestingly enough, last movie I saw in theaters was that movie.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's not bad.
Kong and Godzilla team up. I'll go to the theaters for that.
Yeah. He's got Thanos' glove.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. So again, I think movies need to become more financially viable because the audiences aren't going in droves like they used to every single weekend to kind of prop up the industry. So I mean, get used to it, friends. These shows are really good at stretching a dollar, and that's probably what Hollywood has to start figuring out how to do. Because cranking out movies for $400 million is not a thing anymore.
No,
Like they're not getting a return on investment on that.
not unless it's a Marvel movie or a Star. I mean, you're gonna get your money back on a Star Wars movie.
In the long run, but like
Yeah.
immediate
I
return
mean,
at
what did
box
the
office
bad
is-
ones do? Like people considered Solo a failure. That still made a lot of money.
I think it was I think it's 260 something or other for its theatrical run. I mean, that's a lot of money. Here, I can pull it up for you real quick here. Just don't just talk though, so it's not dead air.
Oh, are you sure? People are all waiting at home, and they're like, "I want to know how much." It's got to definitely be more than 200. It's got to be at least 500 million. Tron made $400 million. The Tron sequel.
Why can't I find it? Where is it? Oh my god.
I love how every time we do a podcast, it comes back to Solo. Also, it's like a mountain we refuse to die on.
I'm okay with that. It made $393.2 million US.
Okay, so it's probably times 2 worldwide, at least.
This is worldwide. I'm sorry. In
Oh.
US dollars.
Oh,
It made that worldwide.
I thought you were saying just in
Sorry.
I was like, that's great.
393.2 million US dollars worldwide.
Okay, worldwide. All right, that's not terrible.
I think that's a lot
I
of
mean,
money,
all right,
dude.
It's not great for Star Wars, but you'll take it. I can't think of a bad movie that's out. Like that's how unplugged I am from theaters.
Yeah, I mean, horror movies obviously they film for a lot less. Like I bet that Long Legs movie was made for like
Yeah, I've heard
$55.
about that. Nicolas Cage is in that,
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even think I've seen a trailer for it. I've just heard that name out there. There's a Mad Max Furiosa movie that I didn't go to.
No.
That I'll wait till it's on Paramount Plus or wherever it shows up. And then I win.
Should be soon because it's on it's VOD already.
Oh, good.
Yeah, again, I didn't, again, I felt like this show, for whatever reason, just drew the ire of a certain faction of Star Wars fans, and I felt like it was pretty unjust, Now again, you can dislike
Yeah.
the show. That's fine.
There's a lot to hate about this show.
Right, but if you're again, a lot of it was just a lot of the stuff I saw was just weird, and it was like, oh, these guys they're kind of sexist. That's what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
I saw some weird stuff like that, and like Star Wars cast women in lead roles a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. Like it's okay. Like Rey's badass.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think of Rogue One's
Oh, Jin.
Jen Urso is a
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah. No, it's most of the arguments that I saw, the people attacking the show, their basis was way off. Again, you don't have to like the show. You can dislike it for a variety of reasons. There's ample. They give you ample things to not like. They do.
Yeah, writing, pacing, acting.
Yeah.
It's all there.
It's all there. You don't have to get mad because, as one podcast, or not, I think it was at a YouTube show that I just watched momentarily until I got grossed out with them, referring to them as space lesbians, the witches. And I was like, I can't watch this.
Oh.
I'm out of here.
Are they? Okay. Who cares? Oh,
cares?
first, who cares? Who gives a shit? Oh, dang it. Who gives a poop?
It was coming. You were riding the line already.
I know, I was getting close. To it. The space witches did it. Also, the space witches, they're always a coven of female witches, aren't they? In the cartoons. I guess if you haven't seen the cartoons, you don't really know.
Again, I go to something I've said for years. I don't understand why a story set in a galaxy far, far away has to be full of just white people. I don't get it. I don't understand. And
It's that empire mentality.
Oh
It's just got to be white British dudes everywhere. Get Benedict Cumberbatch in here right now.
So many
He's
sideburns. So many sideburns. Bring back the sideburns.
Oh, nice.
The Imperial era sideburns. One of my favorite aspects of Andor. They do them so well.
Yeah.
Any hoot. Again, I found the show to be fine. You've listed a litany of reasons why you didn't like it. Was there anything else you wanted to kind of get off your chest while we're having this catharsis for you?
Yeah, I was really hoping the stranger would murder Osha at the end of this because she's not worthy. She wavered too much. And also murder everyone who got onto the planet so the Sith can remain a secret moving forward.
How'd you feel about the mind wipe?
I liked it. He did it real well, real fast.
Yeah, and got 16 years out of her memory gone?
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Talk about hitting the factory reset on that one.
I mean, well, she did it to that droid. That's the only thing I felt bad about was her resetting the droid.
I know, and then he became her buddy. That was weird. Yeah. I was like, no, these droids are loyalty so fickle.
I mean, imagine what you could get C-3PO to do if you wipe him enough.
Oh
He'll become that murder bot with a...
Fair enough. Oh, yeah. But, everyone's cool wiping C-3PO, but R2-D2, don't touch him.
I'm sure he's been wiped. Do you think he fakes being wiped?
Yeah.
You just get...
Like R2's like the chronicler of everything in Star Wars. I'm surprised they haven't put him in the High Republic.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Like Yoda in season 2 of this show, Yoda's going to end up on Naboo for some reason, and you're going to see a young Palpatine who's like, I don't know, 70.
So speaking of the fake internet outrage that existed about the witches, did you lose your marbles seeing Ki-Adi-Mundi there?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Jeez. Why do people gotta get so worked up? I don't. It's Star Wars, man. Just
also, it's 100 years ago.
But they were quote unquote breaking the canon of the expanded universe that doesn't count anymore. Come on.
Yeah, they've done that 1,000 times.
Yes, I talked about it on the podcast. It's like we read all those Mandalorian books. They threw it all away, and I still believe in every single word of it. There's some good stuff in there, and I still hold to every single word they uttered in those books. I love those books.
Yeah. Spoilers. Grand Admiral Thrawn is still walking around. He doesn't have a stab wound in his tum-tum. Dead on the bridge of his ship.
That's true. Very true. I'm actually okay with that change. FYI.
Me too. Me too.
And again, don't get me started because that's a whole other internet thing too, where you have the EU Thrawn versus the Disney Thrawn, and apparently if they got into a fist fight, the Disney Thrawn would get his butt kicked. I don't. This is the whole thing I found out about recently online.
I don't know. They need to read the Disney Thrawn books. He's pretty good at a fight when he chooses to be.
I can only report what the strangeness that I come across on the internets on occasion.
I know you go to some weird Star Wars sites.
I really try not to. Sometimes you just end up down that rabbit hole though, and you're like, well, what's this fool talking about? What's this guy talking about? What's this person talking? And you're like, oh, I don't like anything they're saying. I don't like any of this.
And a lot of that stuff has made me pull back from going to those, like, anything, unless I really want to know what people are saying about something.
Well, it's so funny. Again, I don't mean for this to be like a tirade on the Star Wars internet community, because like by and large it's full of like a lot of really good, cool people. But man, and maybe it's just me, but my social media feeds are like it's like super curated so that I'm not getting people and their crazy negative stuff. So when people are worked up about so and so saying this about the show, I'm like, I don't know, because I don't follow that person, because I don't want them in my feed. I don't want to see their nonsense talk.
Yeah, I get it.
No time for it.
Keep that out of the feeds.
Again,
after we stopped recording, I had to ban something, a key phrase from my feed because it came up everywhere. I'll tell you what it is after. We're not going to talk about it here. I was enough.
Oh, man.
I don't know how I got into this wormhole. I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Think of the biggest meme for the last 3 weeks. You guys know what it is out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks like some of these the vitriol that's thrown out there is just so these people can stay in the conversation, and that's why they're doing it.
You think it's like clicks? They're just trying to get clicks or likes?
I kind of do. Like they're okay playing heel if it means you're checking out their content so you can get mad about it.
It's easy to be a babyface. Heels make the money.
Heels make the money, baby. That's right. I mean, come on. Who has more fun, the good guy or the bad guy?
The bad guy.
Bad guy.
You think Scott Hall had fun being a good guy?
No, I do not.
Yeah. Come on.
There's a reason Hulk Hogan went bad for a long time, because when he finally got to do it, he was having a blast.
Yeah. It brought him back.
He's like, I can just run into rings and hit people with chairs? Okay.
It's much better. It's much better.
Yeah. I don't have to
still
get hit with the chair.
I can still just politic and just be a real bad guy?
I can just wear this feather boa? Okay.
What, when he had the black and white boa, like his later WWE run, pretty good. Pretty good. Because you get confused. You're like, is he a bad guy? He's Hollywood, but he's got the boa. I don't know.
We've lost the narrative a little bit on this podcast.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry, it happens.
It happens. Totally impromptu question.
Yeah.
But I suspect I know the answer. But we don't have to do the whole list. But I suspect this is on the bottom of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows for you. This is like the lowest ranked. Yeah. Okay.
Easy.
If you were letter grade, what would you give it?
C.
Okay.
D.
Okay.
D plus, C minus.
Okay.
There's the stuff with the stranger. I think if you have to go a little harder. You got to sharpen some of these edges. You got to make him. You got to make somebody really evil. I know they're trying to do this. Everybody's in the gray. Everybody's in the middle. Really, it's not light and dark.
It's a very gray show. Yeah, I think that's what they wanted to live in. They wanted to live in that gray.
It's everything's in the gray now. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you need villains and you need heroes. We can't just live in this grayness forever.
And that is honestly the thing I'm worried about for potentially a season 2, is like if we go down this road with the Jedi being somewhat smudged in their nobility, because obviously Vernestra and the stranger have a history. What it is, where will it go? Who's to say? Who's to know? But the indication seems to be that something bad happened, because the stranger's got those scars that are very lightsaber whip shaped, and again,
did she have a lightsaber whip? We don't see her draw her weapon, do we?
Just at one time on Kofar when they find the bodies.
But does she ignite it?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember there were a bunch of Jedi, and I thought we were going to lead up to an awesome Jedi massacre, and it would have been cool.
Yeah, it was. It was when they get to Kofar, and they're finding the dead bodies, and I think that was when I began to realize that, like, okay, Master Soul is going to get framed for bad things here.
Yeah.
And that's And that's how we keep the illusion that the Sith haven't been around for a billion years.
Right, and that would have worked too. I really hope they do some sort of Jedi cop Cornhorn angle where he has to know the truth. Obviously, it's not him. Although, bring him back now. No one's gonna know.
Please do it. I mean, come on. I bring back. I live for that New Republic era. Let's do this. Come on.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, stick him in the old Jedi or the old Republic now. Because there's no spot for him moving forward unless they're gonna.
Come on.
So just
let's hold out
stick
hope.
him back there. It'd be great. It'd be great. They're not going to.
Let's hold out hope. Let's keep hope alive.
Yeah.
We bring back Cornhorn. We bring back Cornhorn and Kyle Katarn, and then I'm living my glory days. Let's do this. It's like Dark Forces, Jedi.
Kip
Let's go.
He's coming back.
No, wait, whoa. Slow down.
Kip, he's there. Oh, I can't think of the other one. It was Kip and who's the other guy? I can't remember. There are a lot of just mushmouth Jedis in the New Republic that just are interchangeable.
Yeah, so many of them die in the Uzan Vong series, though, that you love so much.
I know. This guy definitely dies in one of the Vong books.
You talking about Ganner?
Ganner
Rashad?
Ganner.
Yeah.
Where he does like the Gandalf. He's like, you're not getting through me. And we're like, yes.
So
this
epic.
guy got awesome. The last page of his last book.
I love those books.
Right? Didn't he had like his own like X-Wing group?
Oh, I don't remember that, but it might have been.
Everyone had their, much like there's a bunch of different Force users in this show.
Everyone had X-Wings.
In the New Republic, every Jedi had like 5 dudes he'd hang out with, and they were their own, X-Wing fighter force. And they all had like names like the Blackjack 5 or whatever they are.
You're not wrong, but you definitely do remember the different parts of the Star Wars expanded universe.
It's weird what sticks to you, right? I remember alien forearm touching and rubbing. Those Hive books are terrible.
Yeah, the
I wish I could only remember the good stuff, like the Vader book that they wrote, where it's just him going through the emotions of being like crippled and in a robot suit and just being full of rage and murdering like Jedi. Yeah. It's awesome.
No, the extended universe definitely has like some low points in it.
Oh, yeah. We've lived through a lot of lows.
Yeah. I remember we'd read the books and just be like, let's move on.
Yeah, it was worse. Like we waited at a bookstore for like 3 weeks, and they'd be like, "All right, we got these books in," and we'd run in there and we'd give them lots of money for a terrible book.
Yeah, but it looked great on our shelves. Our shelves looked so good.
It did. Until I let my wife sell my collection not that long ago.
Boo.
She needed it for her million books.
Yeah.
And I didn't let her sell like the cherished ones. Like I have Darth Bane, the Rule of 3 books. Yeah. Or Rule of 3. The 3-part Rule of 2 books.
I was like, wait, Rule of 3?
No, don't worry. There's a throuple in there at some point, I'm sure.
Say, what's happening in your Darth Bane books? You might have got some fanfic in there.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
That
it's
slash
sexy,
fic. All right, Darth Bane getting sexy. All right.
There was a little part of me that was like, oh, maybe this guy is going to be a Darth Bane retcon. I wasn't sure if it was 100 years. I wasn't sure the time frame. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they told me at the beginning of the show, and it just I didn't hold on to that information. I knew we were I knew we were in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see a Darth Bane book. Like if they're going to tell this type of story, I'd like to see them borrow from that, which is a really entertaining trilogy.
I think if you are going to honor what you have said you'll do on this podcast, which is listen to the Darth Plagueis audiobook, I think you'll be very happy with that story and the potential for what could be. So get that loaded up on your Libby. Let's go.
I'll get on Libby. I'll do it. I don't want to do it on the podcast, but I'll do it tonight. I'll send Tom his confirmation. I'll send him a screenshot of the book downloading.
Yeah, no. I think you'll be pretty surprised. It's by Lucino, who wrote that Vader book that you loved.
All right, you're pushing a lot of my buttons right now.
See, there you go. What I steer you wrong? Come on, man. Give me some credit.
He does Sith Lord anger pretty good in self-loathing and
Yeah,
hatred.
you
Like
get
he gets it.
You get Pelagius, you get Sheev Palpatine. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, now if we can just get who wrote the Bane book? Drew Caspian, right?
Carpathian, right? Is that how you say his
Yeah.
name?
Oh, maybe.
Who also wrote the Old Republic script
Yeah,
for
the video
game.
games.
Yeah. Yeah, and he did the Revan book too for the Old Republic series. Yeah, bring him back. Though he's doing his own fantasy books right now. He's
Oh, see, I knew he was doing. I thought he was working on a new video game franchise.
He's still maybe doing that, but he's writing fantasy novels on the side.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the indie video game scene took a hit. I don't know how much money because I think he was trying to do something like a Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic.
Actually, since we have you, and you as the audience may not know this, Reagan, quite the gamer, to this day. Let me ask: are you going to be getting Outlaws when it comes out next month? The new Star Wars open universe kind of game.
It will probably be free on Game Pass. So I'll probably definitely check it out.
Probably, definitely. That's a direct quote, friends.
Well, all right. NCAA football at the time of recording this released last week, and it is ruining my life.
Wait, it came out last week? I thought it dropped today.
No, last Tuesday. I definitely played it all weekend, so it didn't come out today.
All right, never mind. Maybe I'm just getting my copy today.
It came out last Tuesday, but it's for people who grew up on it's exactly what you want. It's like I was digging in my room and I found a brick of heroin, and it's just party time. Sorry, kids at home, don't do a brick of heroin you find in your basement.
No, it's a metaphor. Don't actually do drugs.
Yeah.
Well, and
play a lot of NCAA.
I was gonna say, and be like Reagan and try to turn the University of Maryland into a top 25 powerhouse.
8-2 right now. We're doing pretty good.
8-2. How'd you lose?
8-2.
That AI getting better on the new systems?
The AI is better. My reflexes are not as good. I got Sith sleepy during one game and lost in overtime to Indiana for Pete's sake.
Indiana? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, playing on the road is really hard now.
Go Hoosiers.
Yeah. They got me.
Okay, this is a whole other. This is about to be a tirade here about Maryland and the Big Ten. For God's sake, I can't go down this road with you right now. All right, man. Plug your podcast. What are you guys up to on Come On It's So Good? What do you got coming up?
We're in a great little comic booky month. You might not know these movies are comic book movies. We've watched. Let's see, Snowpiercer. Mm-hmm. That's a French comic, I believe. It was a lot of fun to shocking ending on that podcast for me. We got Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks.
Yes, sir. Good flick.
And then by the time this comes out, we should have another movie, A History of Violence, coming out with Vigo and Bello.
I was saying Maria Bello, yeah.
Maria Bello.
You get to see a lot of Maria Bello in that movie.
You get to see a lot of Vigo in that movie.
That's true, too. Yeah, but not like Eastern Promises level.
No, but we've also done Eastern Promises on the podcast. Trust me, on the Co-G, you're going to get the full Vigo experience if you listen to our show. And we've seen it all.
And very recently, you guys also did Mystery Men, another comic book movie. Before comic book movies were a thing. Yeah, right on.
We've been in a little comic book wormhole right now for a little bit. I think we got one more coming out.
And leading right into Comic-Con week, man. That's this week.
Oh, it's like we planned it that way.
Shaking his vigorous like, really? Happy accidents.
Yeah. Things happen. You got to fill months. And we just wanted to watch Snowpiercer. We were trying to figure out a way to get it in there.
Well, it's been fun listening to the podcast and knowing like what's going on in real life with you guys. Like, your brother's on his world tour and all these other things are happening. And
yeah. We also have Old Boy coming out.
Ooh.
Both versions.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
So that's another comic book. That's what the fourth one was. That'll finish off our comic booky month.
All right, give them the socials, man. You always skip the socials.
I never forget them. We're at CoSG Pod on Instagram and X. Or you
X.
Oh no, wrestler's hurt.
Yeah.
We got to go help him.
D-Generation X right here.
Or you could go find us at cosgpod.com. for all our hijinks and good times.
And references to the New Age Outlaws, right here, friends.
Oh man, if I made one of those, I don't think our producer would know who. Rob might know. Rob would
might
know.
know.
Rob knows who Badass
Yeah,
Billy Gunn is.
yeah. He played the
And
video
the
games
Road
with us,
Dog
at
Jesse
least.
James.
As I say, he played the video game with us on N64. He knows.
Ryan only knows Rey Mysterio Jr.
He loves that 619 move. That's his thing.
It's
Anyways,
pretty good.
I'll get into this after the show.
Yeah.
Reagan, thanks for hanging out, man. Just to answer my own questions, I think grade wise, I would put the Acolyte around a C plus B minus ish. No, yeah, C plus probably. I'll land on C plus. B feels too.
I was like, that's a curve right there, people.
It's a curve.
He's great.
But I do think it is on the bottom of my rankings for Star Wars shows thus far. I think I do try to rewatch some things, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see if it ages better. That's kind of what I'm hoping will happen. Now that we can move past our expectations and what we thought was out there and what the show actually is, and we can accept it and embrace it, maybe I'll come around and bump it up. But Reagan, thanks for hanging out, my good man. I know you got a jet and you got things to do tonight. Like go get the University of Maryland into the top 25.
No, I'm an adult now.
Oh.
I can't get busy playing NCAA football till 4 a.m.
Which
Which also
a man does.
happened this weekend. I haven't played video games till 4 a.m.
Ooh. Oh boy. That's, again, this is a conversation for after the show.
Yes. Saturday was hard, man. Saturday was hard.
All right, my friend. I will catch up with you later. Thanks for hanging out today, man. We'll talk soon.
Oh, thank you. Aboosh!
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
All right, Bucketheads. That's the conversation with Reagan. Those are his thoughts and opinions on The Acolyte. And again, the show was fine for me. I do think ultimately it does rank in my personal rankings towards the bottom, but not necessarily like in the full-fledged like negative way that might imply. Again, it might be on the bottom of my rankings, but I thought the show was perfectly fine. It was okay. And I think, honestly, when I revisited it in 4 or 5 months or something like that, I do hope the show ages a little bit better for me. Now that it's out, it exists, I know what it is. I know what the story is, what the themes are. So I think the show might do better on repeat viewings. We'll see if that holds up, though. And I'll keep you guys all in the loop on how I sort of process that in my mind. But yeah, I'm gonna hold fast to sort of like the C plus rating for right now, but maybe it graduates on that rewatch. We will have to wait and see. That's that, right? So the Acolyte is wrapped up. We're moving on. We're moving forward, onward and upward, my friends. I would imagine Skeleton Crew's coming soon. Andor Season 2 is coming soon. So we have a lot of more content to look forward to. Nothing coming theatrically for a little while. Still we got to wait there. But Disney Plus will keep us well fed and nourished. The High Republic era stuff is wrapping up. They just announced the new era that the comics will be covering post Return of the Jedi. So we're getting the beginning of the New Republic era chronicled in the comics, and I can't wait for that. I'm very excited for that period because again, the New Republic era is when the original EU was born and kind of reignited my fandom for Star Wars and got me reinvigorated in the galaxy far, far away. So I'm curious what the new version of the New Republic will look like post Return of the Jedi. I am very curious about those stories, and if there are elements from the expanded universe that begin to make their way into the new canon, into the current Disney canon that exists, that would be potentially very, very exciting. But we'll talk about that probably a little bit more down the road. Maybe we'll get another Mandovision Reads episode out when those begin. And we can kind of talk about some of the things they're doing with that new period that they're going to be covering. Coming up on this podcast, we will be wrapping up Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We have the final arc of Season 7 coming up, talking about Ahsoka and Mandalore and Darth Maul and all the good things leading into Order 66 and the end of the Clone Wars. I'm really looking forward to getting back to those 4 episodes of the show. That might be next week. I haven't quite made up my mind just yet. There is a Mandovision Reads on the horizon, and that'll either be next week or I'll push it till after we do the 4 episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Because I have begun, I think I talked about this previously, but in case you missed it, I am rereading Star Wars Legacy, the story set 140 years after Return of the Jedi, where we catch up with the descendant of Luke Skywalker, a young man by the name of Cade, who's walking a very different path from his forefather. And it's a story that I very much enjoy. It's actually something I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I actually want to convince Reagan to read because it is very heavily tied in with his favorite Star Wars publishing initiative, the Uzan Vong. So we'll see if I can rope him into reading it with me. If he says yes, that might delay the episode a little bit because I want to get his opinion on those opening arcs for the show. But we'll see about that, all right? So stay tuned. Again, there will be a show next week. It's just kind of a mystery of what it will be about. We will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thanks for being amazing. Thank you for being awesome. This is the Mandovision Podcast. I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you for being an amazing supporter. Buckethead Nation continues to rule. Reach out to me on the socials at Mando_Vision, Twitter and Instagram. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If you're able and you're inclined, 5-star reviews. They help us out tremendously. All right, Bucketheads, go out there. Be great Star Wars fans. If you're coming to Comic-Con, have a great time. I probably won't be there, but I'll be there with you in spirit. I will be in the city of San Diego because that's where I live. But due to work, I will not be in attendance this year, which is unfortunate. But I am going to do my best to poke my head down there and catch up with some friends who I know are coming to town. So if you see a guy who looks like me, maybe wearing a Mandovision jacket, it's more of a hoodie than a jacket. I don't know why I said jacket. Maybe I was trying to sound fancy. I don't know. Say hi. Anyways. If you're coming to Comic-Con, have a great time. It's going to be a blast, especially after last year with basically zero celebrity presence down there. So it's going to be a kind of a return to form for Comic-Con. Hopefully you found a hotel and didn't have to pay the exorbitant prices that they're charging for things. Godspeed and good luck down there. May the Force be with you. And, of course, remember, Bucketheads, this podcast, it can only end one way. This is the way.